So every single business book in the world tells you the same thing. You have to delegate, you have to hire a team, you have to work on the business instead of in the business. But having grown my own 7-figure online education business, I can tell you that that is not necessarily true. In fact, over-delegating, hiring a team the wrong way, getting rid of the wrong tasks can actually slow down your growth. How can that be true? Well, let's take a walk and we'll find out why. In case you don't know me, my name is Olly Richards. I'm the founder of StoryLearning.com, a multi-million-dollar online education business. I'm also a mentor and advisor to other online education businesses. So when we talk about scaling businesses, there is often a lot of dogma that creeps in around things that you have to do. And the more people you hang around who are involved in these kind of industries, the more that you hear the same kind of things parroted over and over again. And you realize that people don't actually always have such original thoughts. One such piece of dogma is around the idea of delegating. Now, the point of delegating and building a team is to create scalability. You can't do everything yourself, so you need other people to help you. And so by delegating and by building a team around you, you create the ability to scale. But unfortunately what happens with a lot of founders is that rather than thinking, right, how can I delegate in order to create the ability to scale, instead they end up thinking, how can I stop doing the things I don't like? And in fact, I've even heard business coaches and people who are often selling virtual assistant services saying things like, well, the first thing you should delegate is the things that you don't like to do. Well, that's all very well, but what if the things that you don't like to do are actually the things that grow the business? So a couple of stories that illustrate this really well. I was at a friend's house for dinner recently. We were talking about our businesses and he was telling me about how unfortunately his business has been losing money for the last few months, and he was trying to get to grips with, well, how does he turn the ship around? How does he figure out how to reverse it? Because when your business is losing money, this is a serious situation. This is not to be trifled with. And so we were talking about, so what's at the root of the problem here? And it was quite clear that in his case, it was sales that was the problem. The sales team that he had built were massively underperforming him. He would get a certain conversion rate whenever he was on the calls, but then the salespeople that he'd hired would get a much lower conversion rate. And so he was literally losing money on the calls themselves. And so I said, well, why don't you get rid of these underperforming salespeople and go back to selling yourself? That would not only reduce your expenses, but would increase your income and would turn the ship around quite quickly. And his reply is something that I hear very, very often among founders, which is, well, that wouldn't scale. If I start doing sales myself, how am I ever going to scale the business? And an answer like this is great in theory, but in practice, let's get real. You've got a business to turn around. You're losing money. You've got to make money. You've got people who are underperforming, and you have the ability to fix that and start making more money with better sales by doing it yourself right away. And yet people have so much dogma in their head around, well, that doesn't scale, or what happens in the next stage? They make a bad decision based on some theoretical explanation. And by the way, if you're enjoying the video so far, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's completely free, it helps me out, and it also makes sure that you will get shown my next video by YouTube. A second entrepreneur friend I was talking to runs an online education business a lot like mine, and she's been growing her business fantastically over the last few years, and she's really trying to hire a team to help with marketing so that the marketing doesn't always run through her. And we were talking about the things that actually drive her business, and in her case, it is email marketing. That's how they make all the sales. And when we talked, she was really struggling to hire a marketing team. She was really finding it difficult to get other people to come in and do the kind of email marketing that was going to grow the business. She said, I've tried so many times to hire other people to write copy, to write emails, and they just can't do it, Ollie. They just don't get it. How can I hire someone who's actually going to be good at this? And I said, well, why is it that this is the thing that you want? Of all the things you could delegate, why is it this that you want to delegate? And she said, because if I keep doing it myself, then it doesn't scale. And so the pattern we see in business owners often who are scaling from 6 to 7 figures is that they are using a dogma which will become relevant at the 7 to 8 figure mark perhaps, or when the business gets bigger. They're using that dogma, applying it to where they are right now, and actually holding back their business because they are refusing to do the things that will actually grow the business, that will actually help to make more money now, so that you can then use those funds to delegate other things, to help to grow other areas of the business. Ultimately, it's always going to be the founder's job to actually run sales. If you're not bringing in the money, you don't have a business. And that's why I recommend that businesses doing 6 figures in revenue generally look to delegate sales and marketing last and instead focus on streamlining operations. Because what you really want is for your product fulfillment to be absolutely immaculate. You want to be able to produce guaranteed, regular, predictable results for your clients, because not only is that the core of your business, but that's the thing that generates referrals. It's the thing that creates customer success time after time after time. So rather than trying to delegate the thing that is actually bringing in the money, delegate the operations instead. And yes, that may mean that you end up hanging on to the thing that you don't like doing. But this is where the reality of running a business really comes into play. Let's say that you were the manager of a big Hollywood celebrity, and let's say you're Will Smith's manager, and you've just managed to clinch a fantastic multi-million-dollar blockbuster film deal for Will Smith. So you go to Will and you say, Will, I've got this great new film for you, aren't you excited? And he's like, no, not really. I don't think I can do it. And you say, well, why not? And he says, well, because I can't find anyone to delegate my role to. It wouldn't make any sense. It would be completely crazy. And celebrities are, among the highest paid people in the world. I'm sure none of us would say no to Will Smith's salary. And yet he doesn't have the option of delegating the thing that he does best. So why should it be the case that for us business owners, we are always looking to delegate the very things that bring in money for us? It makes no sense. So if you want to scale your business, make sure you're very, very clear on what actually drives the core value in your business, and make sure you're not confusing that with something that you simply don't like. So now you know how to think about the things that you should and shouldn't be delegating on the way to growing a large business. But even when you are scaling, you need to make sure you do it in a way that protects the old grey matter and make sure that you don't burn out. And if you'd like to figure out exactly how to not burn out on your way to a 7-figure business, then click this video right here because it will show you exactly how.